Okay guys, in this video I want to go over the negatives of buying a home base from a full-time nomad's perspective. Some of the mental hurdles that I had to overcome, and I'll kind of share with you how I overcame them. Now they are still negatives, so I'm trying to be fair in giving you something that you have to consider if you're going to get off the road. So I've been using a whiteboard to illustrate the lesson or whatever subject that I'm talking about because I find tremendous value in writing things down, and it's a clear communication skill for yourself and for anyone you're sharing with. So, the number one thing that you have to overcome, okay, when you're getting off the road full time is something I'm writing down right now. Just give me 1 second, and you'll agree with me if you've ever been a full time nomad. The number one thing you have to overcome is giving up the adventure or freedom of the road. Now, it's a real thing, and so I'm sharing it with you because you have to directly face it. You can't lie to yourself. But how I overcame it was what I realized is there isn't really freedom in going to the same Planet Fitness parking lot for several weeks or several months. There really isn't freedom in stealth camping. Not financially, you're paying gas. Not psychologically, there's movement around you, and it could be illegal. So the freedom is a little bit a psychological lever, because I don't believe you should buy a home base if you're not financially free. Your financial freedom is your freedom, okay? Because if you don't have financial freedom, you're destitute. And so that's no matter how you're living situation. So kind of how I overcame it was just looking at asset allocation, a balance of my financial assets, because you put so much in savings, you pay down your debt, and then you maybe put a little bit in investments or risk, but then you also want to allocate some for housing. So for me, this is how I looked at it. I know that some people have a different perspective, okay, but it could be a negative, okay, for some people. For me, it was in the last year or so. I really struggled. How do I get over this? And I came to the conclusion that, look, if I don't like something, I sell it. If I don't like this home base, I sell it. Again, your health, which I do believe your health can be maintained at a higher level when you have a home base because you have a more consistent daily routine. And if you focus on time management in your daily routine, it's less time driving and more time in the gym or more time walking. But if you're disciplined on the road, you can do that too. But you gotta figure out if you want to overcome that, or if it is something that's worth overcoming, because it may be a negative. You may have to give that up a little bit. You definitely give some of it up. As you can still go on your vacations, but I think there is a different mindset. I know from my experience being on the road full time versus having a home base and then camping part time. There's a different psychological perspective when you're on the road full time. Whether you stay at campgrounds or you stealth camp, there is a more adventurous type spirit. It's adrenaline. And the problem is adrenaline every day, all day, can burn you out over years. So, that's again the psychological way I kind of overcame that. But it's a real thing. Number two thing that is a negative buying a home base, at least in my experience so far, I want to be honest with you, I want to share with you, is I actually still find that I sleep better in my vehicle. Whether you have a van, a car, or RV. Now, I'm living in an RV on a lot that I own, and I thought that would be a happy medium. In some ways it is, but this is a little bit bigger RV than I would have bought on my own. So I'm not sure. I don't feel as good in some instances sleeping in the RV versus my car. Maybe because it's a little bit more space. I do feel better about having better airflow, about being able to get up at night periodically and stretch my legs, etc. But the actual sleep and the coziness, if I'm being honest, because it's a negative of buying a house, it was actually better in a vehicle. And I camped the other day in my vehicle, and I found that to still be true at least a month or so into this exercise. So it's something you have to consider. I mean, that's why I kind of tell you that for me, buying an RV lot with the RV on it, I could replace this RV and then maybe eventually have a Class B, just a camper van with a regular car. I don't know, for some reason, and I think full-time nomads that do it, you can say, at least for me, from my perspective, that sleeping in the vehicle is better. So it's a negative to buy a house, and that's the number two thing. Okay, if I'm being honest and I'm sharing with you, let me go number three. And this is a weird one, man. You may not think about this. You'll see in a second. I want to think how to write this. Now, being that you have air conditioning and being that you have more room, and I have a lot of windows in this RV. If you haven't already seen my home base video, I'll probably put it at the end of this video, but you could just look at Inspirational Nomad Home Base. But with all the windows and with everything, I would thought the airflow and the air quality would be even higher. I'm on the beach too. But actually, one negative is dust and clean air. Okay, when you have a home base, even if it's an RV on an RV lot, you gotta really dust it. And even this thing's clean. And I'm gonna dust it some more today. And I did air fresheners. I got some cleaning stuff to wipe the floors down. But I find at night, when I wake up in the middle of the night, I could have a headache or there's too much dust. There's no mold. I do keep the air conditioning on at a certain level, especially when I'm not here. I do open the windows when I come home. But you would think out of a car, with no air conditioning, and I never had any like mold resistance or anything in my car for the 5 years I was there. But I find the air quality so far, I may be hypersensitive, is not as good in the house. Definitely, there's more cleaning to maintain the air quality. Whether with your AC ducts. This is ducted AC, so that, and I don't know too. The lot's on a little bit of a slope, so I'm very sensitive to elevation. Even though I do like to sleep like, with my head elevated, but it's just weird. The RV's level, so I don't think that's. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I do still feel the air quality is not as good in the house. You got to really maintain the cleanse. It's really going to be cleaned, and stay clean, and I don't know, man. But it's been a negative, and that may go kind of to number two. But these are the three things, at least from the nomad's perspective, that I wanted to share in this video. Overall, I would still say I'm happy with the decision. So if there were more negatives than positives, I would share it with you. I mean, I'm sharing with you this. But for me, there's still more positives than negatives. Again, how I overcame the freedom and adventure. Most people who are on the road full time, unless they have a lot of money, they're not really free to a certain degree. I get it though, but and that's how I overcame it. It's just like, look, your financial freedom and your health is your freedom. But it's you give up a little bit of an adventure. It's true. Sleep better in the car. It's a negative. I mean, the only good thing about again, you got your own lot. You could still sleep in your vehicle on your piece of land that you own. But it's just like it's a little weird doing that. It's like I bought a place, right? So and then the dust in the air and the quality air. There could be so many reasons behind that. I don't know. But it's what I found. So either way, I hope sharing that helps you a little bit. I have no agenda really to share it other than to make a video and to be consistent and to share from my experience, not from a bunch of hot air. And this is my experience so far. And hopefully it helped. If it did, and you want to give this video a super thanks, I appreciate that. You want to join the memberships and have unlimited live access, you can do that. Click the thumbs up, leave a comment below. Let me know your experience if you were a full-time nomad and you got off the road. Do you find that the points that I shared were accurate, or do you have something different? Everything has a pro and a con, a positive and a negative. You kind of like got to write it down and see if the pros outweigh the cons, the negatives outweigh or the positives outweigh the negatives. There's no exact science to life. There is science though. Science helps you make better decisions. you still do need to balance that, with the feeling that you have of something, your gut feeling. You need both. And that's what I really tried to do through my home based process. I tried to use science, I tried to use my gut, and I tried to balance it. But again, there's no exact thing that you always make the perfect decision. So all you can do is the best you can. But I feel, obviously, you feel better about your decisions when you go through that process and you get the data and you check yourself and how you feel about it and you balance it, right? You'll tend, even if you won't make every decision right, but you'll tend to make better decisions because that's wisdom, that's wisdom. But I'll see you next video, guys. Thank you.